Okay, welcome again, everyone who's joining us for today's webinar on shared experiences of HCBS implementation. My name is Daniela Labate, and I'm part of the NIAPRIS team, and we're one of the MCTAC partners. So before we introduce our panel and get into today's discussion, I just wanted to quickly go through some housekeeping. The webinar is being recorded, and both the slides and recording will be posted on the MCTAC website. We've set aside some time at the end of the presentation for questions and really do encourage you to use the chat box feature throughout the presentation and type in your questions. Those of you who may be new to MCTAC, MCTAC is a training, consultation, and educational resource center that offers resources to all mental health and substance use disorder providers in New York State. MCTAC's overall goal is to prepare and assist providers with the transition to Medicaid managed care. So on the slide you can see all of the MCTAC and CTAC partners. And on this slide you can see all of the MCTAC Plus partners. And the MCTAC Plus partners provide individualized and hands-on training and technical assistance to behavioral health providers throughout New York State on the successful transition to Medicaid managed care. So before I introduce you to our moderator for today's panel discussion, I want to quickly remind you of the upcoming March MCTAC Plus webinar. That webinar is actually part 2 in our series on exploring partnerships and collaborations. We're pleased to have Joe Naughton-Travers from Open Minds who will be joining us, and we'll be focusing the discussion on concepts of strategy and due diligence in partnerships and collaborations. We hope that you'll register for that event as well, and that event will take place on March 1st from noon to 1 p.m. Again, just a real quick reminder, please use that chat box to type in your questions, and that chat box can be found on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. I think without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Dr. Yves Addis. Yves is part of our MCTAC Plus team, and he's going to be moderating today's discussion with HCBS providers from various parts of the state. And I think I'm going to hand it over to you, Yves, to go through our list of presenters and go ahead and get us started, okay?
Good morning, everybody. So our presenters today are a geographically diverse group, going from Long Island all the way to Rochester. Today we'll have Tammy Butler-Fluitt, who's the Executive Director of Samaritan Center of Excellence in Rochester, Christy Giano, who's the HCBS Director for the Association for Mental Health and Wellness in Ronkonkoma, Linda Davis, CEO of Me Time Massage and Wellness in Rochester, Doug Mayer, Director of Services at HA in Essex County, and Karen Rogers, the owner and founder of Exercise Express in Rochester. So let's move on now, as each presenter, each panelist will tell you a little bit about their particular organization and their services, their HCBS service delivery. So why don't you take it from me now?
Great. I'm Dee Graziano. I'm the HCBS Program Director at Association for Mental Health and Wellness. Currently, we are providing psychosocial rehabilitation, peer support, education support, vocational, intensive supportive employment, ongoing supportive employment, and family support. We cover the areas of Suffolk County, Long Island, and we began our HCBS delivery in January of 2017. We currently have 39 members enrolled, and our average number of participants at any given time is 39 because we're new. We've done 55 assessments, and we currently have 31 clients in the assessment process. Our dedicated FTEs for HCBS, we have a program director, myself. We have a full-time professional. We have a part-time paraprofessional and a part-time peer specialist. That's at $18.75. And then we have 3 per diem peer specialists, which can work up to 10 hours. With all this said, our projected enrollment of 2018, we project at least 100 members in HCBS.
Okay, very much. And now I'm going to ask Doug to chime in and tell us about the Mental Health Association in Essex County.
The Mental Health Association in Essex County is located in northern New York, up near Lake Placid. It's a very rural area, 39,000 total population. We needed to provide HCBS services, education, peer support, habilitation, intensive supported employment, pre-vocational, psychosocial, short-term respite, and transitional employment. We are ready to provide all these services. We don't currently have anyone in transitional employment or ongoing supported employment. We implemented our services on the start date, October 1st, 2016. We serve the second largest geographically county in the state. Provide services strictly in the home and in the community. We don't do any on-site services. We currently have a staff of 7, including 5 certified peers, 2 bachelor's level. The rest are high school graduates who are peer certified. We are at our current capacity of 25, and by end of 2018, we expect to have served about 35 people.
Okay, moving along, Karen, it's your turn. Okay, you there?
Yes, my name is Karen Rogers, and I am owner and founder of Exercise Express, LLC. We are located in the beautiful downtown district of Rochester, 232 South Plymouth Avenue. We have the 4 HCBS designations. We were ready to roll September 2016. Our designated services are psychosocial rehabilitation, support and training, and empowerment services, all with an emphasis on health and wellness. Currently, our staff is as such. We have 50 individuals that have received services in total, 28 individuals currently receiving HCBS services. We have 10 dedicated HCBS staff working part-time. Many of our HCBS staff members also have other jobs in the area. Our projected enrollment in 2018 will be 50 individuals.
Great, thank you. Okay, it's up to you now.
Lynn may be muted.
Liz? Or can I ask me to go through Linda's slides, because we seem to be having some trouble getting Linda on?
You go through Linda's slides.
Thank you.
On behalf of Linda Davis, she's with the owner of Me Time Massage and Wellness. She has actually 2 sites. She's located at 1365 Culver Road and at 228 South Plymouth Avenue in Rochester, New York. Started up her HCBS services in April of 2017. Linda is currently, or Me Time Massage is currently designated for peer empowerment services. She currently has 20 individuals enrolled and receiving services, and she has 6 dedicated HCBS staff working part-time. Many of them have gone through the SERPA certification, provisionally working, as well as she has individuals that have bachelor's and master's level degrees. Her enrollment for HCS in 2018 is 40 individuals.
We just received a text from Linda. She is on the call. She can hear everything but I believe somehow she's muted.
Okay. So look forward to hearing your voice very soon. So Tammy, just keep going.
Right, so Samaritan Center of Excellence, we are a nonprofit organization, again located at 232 South Plymouth Avenue, and we began providing HCBS services roughly February of 2017. And designated to and approved to provide 4 services. This includes psychosocial rehabilitation, family support and environment services. We are currently providing all of those services a variety of ways to different HCBS individuals. We have 26 individuals enrolled for HCBS services, and we have about an average of 18 individuals served weekly. We do a combination of in the office as well as in the community, depending on the activity and the needs of the individuals that we serve. We have 10 dedicated HCBS staff working part-time, and again, they have been certified, and some have high school diplomas as well as high as master's degrees in psychology. I also have a projected enrollment in 2018 of 50 individuals.
What really has come through is a lot of information and a lot of diversity in terms of certainly staffing and numbers. So let me start. Let's start with that. Doug, I wonder if you could tell me what your approach was staffing, how you got started, and how you did it, and how it's going.
We were lucky enough to get on the certified peer wagon with the Academy of Peer Services early. So in October of 2016, we had some staff who were provisionally certified already. We didn't hire any new staff. We used existing staff and repurposed them. Our staff do a lot of traveling in it. It wasn't too hard to incorporate HCBS stops in their day so that as they were traveling, they could stop and provide services to different people as they're engaged in other programs. We have 7 people, 5 are certified peers. One person is a certified peer that's also a bachelor's level supervisor, and she does all the planning. I sat down and looked at the, in terms of billing, we're operating with about 1.5 full-time equivalent staff. So certainly nobody is engaged wholly in HCBS, but it works out to about 1.5 full-time equivalent. Not including me, I do the service planning and the billing. I couldn't tell you how many hours I spend doing that, but so that's our approach to making it work.
And in terms of retention, you've been able to hold on to your staff?
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, 100% retain. We have one certified peer that's provisionally certified. He's in training now, but he hasn't actually started providing services.
Thank you. Christy, I wonder if you could sort of tell us about your staffing or staffing up experience as well.
I also drew from the Academy of Peer Services website, and we are fortunate enough at Association for Mental Health and Wellness to have a peer training program to draw from. So I asked for the superstars, and we're able to retain that way. So currently have 3 per diem peer specialists. They're at 10 hours, so they can cover roughly from a 6 to 9 hour caseload per week. We have 1 part peer specialist who covers at least 10 cases per week, and she is a New York State certified peer specialist as well. I was fortunate enough to be linked with someone who is an Iraqi war vet who decided that he would like to offer services. So he's our part-time paraprofessional. He has his bachelor's degree and is also seeking a master's degree eventually. My full-time professional that helps me out, she has a master's degree and she has her master's in counseling counseling degree. And then there's myself, who's a creative arts therapist and a social worker as well. Not to mention, also my paraprofessional, who is an Iraqi war vet, is also a recreational therapist. So we have an eclectic mix of training experience that we provide that really kind of helps us with our creativity and our flexibility of providing these services.
Karen, can you chime in with your staffing fixings?
Our staff have all been transitioned from exercise instructors and professionals to peers. We have taken them through the training that was offered that gave them financial assistance. They are all provisional staff currently right now and working towards their hours so that they can get ready to prepare for their examination. Our peers have a lot of background. Some of them are associates level and higher in terms of their educational endeavors. I hold a master's in public administration and an undergraduate degree in communication, as well as we have all of our New York State certifications for exercise and wellness. We also have a couple of individuals who are trained as diabetes educators also on our team. We have clinical oversight from a nurse practitioner, RN, and we are effectively looking for staff to come forward every day because we are, managing the referrals that we get in.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you one question. In terms of your, you mentioned the nurse practitioner. How the nurse practitioner supervises the staff? Is that the role there? Because that's an interesting position.
Nurse practitioner looks over, reviews our notes and makes sure that, we're in compliance with the services that we're rendering. She meets with us and reviews our files on a monthly basis to make sure that we're doing all the things that are necessary to keep the client engaged in their goals and, of course, their active, healthy lifestyle. We monitor BMIs, blood pressure, cholesterol of all of our clients that come through the program.
That's everything. Thank you. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Our staffing, we've been fortunate enough to be recovery coach trainers and ethics trainers, so we are constantly going through a number of training classes and selecting individuals who will best fit the needs of our clients that we serve. So we have about 10 part-time staff. Some of them have full-time jobs, and this is their part-time job. We have several people that are in recovery from mental health or substance use, have some type of lived experience that helps them to transition into this role more effectively. We have someone who's in charge of our billing, as well as our database dwell agent, and we also have a quality assurance individual who is part-time and per diem that really looks over all of our documents and ensures that our case notes and all of our documentation is in order and due diligence in that way. And always doing trainings. We have tapped into protocol and quality assurance trainings that we run to our staff where they are currently working at. We count those hours as part of the hours needed for to move from provisional to license for the surplus.
So just in terms of staffing, I know you mentioned that you basically had used existing staff that you kind of folded into HCBS service delivery. Am I right? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. We haven't hired anyone new. We're someone in training that would be an additional staff. He would be part-time, but other than that, we used existing staff from some of our other programs.
Okay, Christy, Karen, and Tammy, just chime in here. Did any of you hire new staff, or were you all also working under the same kind of strategy of using existing staff?
Kind of see, I hired all new staff, including I was hired as a new staff to run the program, so we're all brand new together.
Okay. What about Karen?
Yes, we did a little bit of both. We hired some additional staff that we needed, but really we took the staff that we had. Again, I had certified instructors that do health and wellness, teach a variety of class formats, and all of them, thank goodness, had some type of lived experience with recovery and mental health, and we just folded them right in to take the training for the SERPA.
Thank you. And how about you? Did you also do a little bit of both?
We're a volunteer-based nonprofit organization with limited staff, probably no staff, volunteer. So what we did is we took those long-standing volunteers that were true to our mission and began to train them on this initiative in hopes that it would open up opportunities for employment, in which it did. So for the most of it, our individuals that currently work for us are long-term volunteers.
So that's quite a kind of a mix of staffing strategies, depending on your organizations and what your staffing consisted of before HCBS. Let's move into a whole other into another kind of different issue here, which is marketing. Things about any new service live is people need to know that it exists. People need to know who's delivering it. So I'm going to start with Tammy this time. Can you tell me what was your marketing strategy? And clear this that I'm talking about. MCOs know about you, marketing to the MCOs, and then to the behavioral health community, letting the other providers and potential consumers know that you are delivering these services.
Howard, and I can probably steal a little bit this from Karen and Linda because we're all located in the same building. One of our marketing strategies was really to have a grand opening that really allowed behavioral health providers, the community, and also other constituents to come in to actually see the spaces that we had created for HCBS services, meet the staff and the volunteers that would be assuming those roles as we move forward. That was kind of the start of our marketing. Other than that, for Samaritan Women, we created rack cards that we distributed at various vendor events at community fairs, and eventually we began to create a video that allowed us to circulate that video to various behavioral health providers and organizations across Rochester that explained behavioral health, the enrollment process, and the benefits of connecting individuals for HCBS to each of us as providers, Exercise Express, New Time Massage, and Samaritan Center of Excellence. And I would just add for the community, everywhere we went, each person that we came in contact with as HCBS is being rolled out, we would always ask those questions. Are you connected to HCBS and the benefits of being connected to various additional services that they were afforded to?
And it's very important for us to say that the reason why we started doing this early is when we received feedback from MCTAC and they would come up and do different town halls and meetings, they would stress to us that it was very important that we would market our organizations and market the services that we were going to be rendering. So it was the guidance from MCTAC who really encouraged us to get all those things in place prior to even rolling out the HCBS program.
Well, thank you very much for that endorsement. I want to just, Tammy, Linda, and Karen, you're all in the same building, and there's an interesting twist to your service delivery, and because you do include very, very specific, then HCBS services, specifically massage, exercise. And could you just say something could you say something about how you weave to services, to the HCBS services, and how people get access, enrollees get access to the massage and the relaxation and, the wellness around exercise? How do those things fit together in your sort of program?
Talk about, this is Tammy, whole health approach to meeting individuals where they are and also allowing access to a variety of different services. That whole health approach with exercise and me time massage and wellness, stress reduction, it really does come into play. So as we are meeting with our HCBS members and we talk about what are some of their goals and what would they like to do, we always try to look at how we can incorporate the exercise and the stress reduction in those models. And oftentimes it's about bringing people together to really work on some issues that may not have been seen as a barrier, but could also be seen as a strength when they're actually working together with other HCBS members. So just putting a positive spin on a whole health approach, that's how we usually introduce it to our HCBS members. And then having group activities and kind of spearing up some goal setting around health and wellness and stress reduction.
It's an interesting approach because it really speaks to the whole person health, and you seem to have done it very seamlessly in terms of bringing these services, these other kind of services into the mix. Okay, I'm going to move now to Christy. Christy, can you tell us a little bit about your marketing approach, MCOs and with the behavioral health community?
First we created our flyers and our brochures, and we also created a kit which included definitions of our HCBS services, the definition of HARP, explaining the different HARP tiers, the eligibility requirements, the housing exclusions, and the eligibility exclusions if HCBS clients were participating perhaps in a PROS program. So we kind of created this nice little booklet, and then what we did was we either through email, called, face-to-face meetings where we actually could sit down and kind of talk about our services, talk about plans, talk about our visions for providing the services. We were able to develop these very, very important relationships to our 5 contracted MCOs. From that point in time, we then went out and we did some educational in-services for care management organizations in Suffolk County, and the same kind of process where we talked about the services, the care managers were allowed to ask questions, how do you see this person working, and give kind of some specific questions and get some specific answers to that. In addition, what we did is we had one of our current HCBS clients go along with one of these educational services, so she was able to provide her experiences and answer questions and things like that. We also created a video. We included that video. We shot it to our managed care organizations, and that video is now uploaded on our website. So that's kind of how we market it.
It's a very extensive marketing plan, I have to say. Doug, how about you?
Well, I'm happy that we haven't had to do any marketing. We're lucky enough that 9.9% of Medicaid recipients in our county are served by one MCO, so we have contracts with that MCO and one additional MCO that covers all people in our county. There's care management agencies. We're the only designated HCBS provider in about 40 miles in any direction, so I didn't really have to do a lot of marketing. We did have to get our contracts in place with the MCOs, but we have more than enough referrals to go around. As a matter of fact, as of March 1st, I'm going to have to stop accepting referrals from out of county because we're at capacity. So we've been pretty lucky in that regard.
Yeah, there's something to be said for exclusivity. That's really sort of one of the what you're presenting is really not in some geographies where there aren't many HCBS providers and there aren't many care management organizations. So you're kind of in a unique role there. Let's move on to something different, and some of you mentioned it already around engagement, and I'm talking about engagement with consumers. So this isn't about getting them through the door, which is more like a marketing, and letting people know that you exist. This is more once they walk in, and once they're there and they've come for the services, what you do, or how you approach that engagement to ensure that they've been sort of their commitment to continuing with receiving the services is there. How do you do that in terms of motivation and anything else that you bring to the table? So, Doug, I'm going to start with you this time. Is there anything that you want to share with our audience about that?
Well, we meet consumers in their home. Once we get a referral, we make an appointment. I go to the home and, first of all, make sure that it's going to be a safe place to provide services. We do any on-site services in the home or in the community. And we start out by reviewing the goals that the person set with their health home care manager on the plan of care. And then we try to go beyond that and ask them what would really help, what they really need. And sometimes people are you can have goals that they may not have realized just by being in the home and seeing how they live. And we try to keep them engaged. We try to make them understand that this is a real clinical relationship, that we're there to help them and that we are can be trusted, that we're not spies for the psychiatrist, or we try to help people to understand that we really are to help them and help them reach their goals and not goals set by the psychiatrist or the manager that, a lot of times they coincide, but people sometimes have some very simple goals, and changing some of that stuff and being in the home can really help them stay out of the hospital.
Christy, what about you? Anything that you do to make people feel like, as Doug described, make people feel connect people?
Much like Doug, we do go into the home and community, so we're going into homes. But I think that the rapport development is what you're kind of speaking to is at first contact, and that's via the phone. So calling the person, really kind of talking to them a little bit about the service, what to expect, seeing if they have any questions about it, what works for their schedule in terms of scheduling the first assessment. So we're really already starting that rapport development. We're easing anxieties, kind of like what Doug said, that we're not on the side of the psychiatrist. We're really there for the client and finding out what the client wants to work on. So we start out initially from the very first phone call. And then by the time we get to the assessment, we start that process yet again because there's some fears and there's some questions and things like that. And then we really kind of uncover what the client wants to work on via what the client sees they can work on, what different they've tried in the past. So we really kind of, I liken it to opening the blooming onion. We really kind of dig deep. We try to find out what that client wants to work on. We notify and identify strengths in that very first meeting to kind of build the client up and increase that motivation to kind of get them ready and prepared for this service.
That's very helpful to do that because we're all, everybody in the audience is sort of that first meeting is very critical for getting people engaged. What do you do?
Well, I would agree with what everyone is saying. Basically, we meet the clients anywhere. We can meet them in their home, in the community, at the studio. But really, first, it's about building a relationship with them, allowing them to feel comfortable to speak to their goals and aspirations And, you know, I'm proud of the services that we have to offer, because when you talk about exercise, you know, you're talking about mental wellness, physical wellness, and everybody needs to take a look at, you know, how their body is moving, how their body is adjusting, and different things like that. So, you know, all of our members within the building, our clients, they all want to experience some type of workout program or regimen. So we meet them where we are. We, you know, if it's the person who can only sit in the chair and raise their leg every now and then, or the person who will come in and do, you know, an aerobics class for 2 hours straight. So it's about meeting the individual where they are and what goals do they want to accomplish, and coming together and letting them know that, you know, we're a family here. We're working together, and all of us have the same concerns and issues. Let's just try to make everyone meet their individual specific goals.
I'm going to move now to another question, which really has to do with barriers, and I'm not going to go necessarily in any order here, but if any of you had experienced a barrier, an implementation barrier, and if you could tell us how you resolved it. Now, it sounds to me that you all you made it look so easy in your description so far. But were any barriers any of you want to talk about and how you resolved it?
Doug Spain. One of the barriers that we encountered is our HCBS staff is involved in getting helping the consumers, that they would sometimes provide more services than we were allowed to bill for, and we're electronic health record. It wasn't always that clear exactly what service, how many hours, how many units were authorized, so we had to come up with some kind of cheat sheets for the frontline staff so that they could keep track of where they were with a particular client. I mean, obviously, sometimes you have to provide more services than you can bill for just because it's a necessity, but we did have to come up with some implements to help them schedule their time.
For the time.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the group who want to share a barrier that they encountered and how they resolved it?
I think that we found a lack of readiness across the board for HCBS, whether it was the care management's understanding of what the services were, whether it's the client's understanding of what the services encompassed. So really kind of had to define and create the parameters of the HCBS service, and then we had to get out there and educate. And we found that a lot of our clients were not ready to engage in the intensive weekly face-to-face services that HCBS provided. So we've done a lot of work in that pre-contemplation, contemplation phase of change, just getting our clients ready and motivated for the service. So we've done a lot of that. Another barrier that we ran into is we had a lack of New York State certified peer specialists. And because of that, we were getting such a high demand that we had to put our services on hold for taking in new clients back in October. And we've just recently, in the past 3 weeks, been able to open up our services. So we're really kind of struck with that. We've done some outreaching and some advertising, and we've got a great response to that. So it seems like we're back up and running. But that's been how we solved that there. And thirdly, Suffolk County is the transportation is a geographic barrier. Suffolk County ranges 86 miles one way to 26 miles the other way. So clients are constantly having to navigate public transportation, which is not reliable, pay for SCAT, which is $4 each way. So what we've done is that all of our HCBS staff have reliable transportation, have assisted our clients in getting out there in the community while learning how to navigate Suffolk County public transportation. So we've really kind of done a lot of development on those three barriers.
Thank you. Okay. Would you also now moving into, would you do, now that you know what you know, Any of you do anything differently? If you were to, now that you know what you know, what would you do differently, if anything? So you wouldn't change a thing. Is there anybody who disagrees with that?
Yes, so I do a lot of things differently. So my answer is yes, yes, and yes. The first thing that I would look at is, of course, what I just spoke about, assessing readiness, getting people prepared for this intensive face-to-face weekly service. So we're kind of looking at psychosocial rehabilitation as readiness development, working on those skills for such an intense kind of service. And by doing so, we're hoping that we level out the high cancellation rate that this service does have. I think, secondly, would identify and collect necessary resources in the community, make those relationships, develop the relationships and knowledge of transportation, things like that. In addition, I think we would also have a better understanding of benefits and special educational and vocational programs, assessment, just kind of really expanding our knowledge. I wish I had done that before diving in to the list of HCBS. I think that may make things a little bit easier. I really want to reiterate the fact that, with that being said, HCBS does not have to be rocket science. It can be led by the client, supported by the client. It can be driven by the client, and it can be as simple as just having that relationship and supporting the client.
Well, because it certainly were things that you had to deal with, but your word is certainly very clear that you did it, and we're very happy that you're sharing that with us. So finally, and we're going to go into some questions from our audience, but I don't know if any of you have, and Christy, I think you gave us your wisdom, but from the others, is there any wisdom that you would like to share, sort of you've learned? This isn't necessarily doing things differently, but something you've learned in the process of building this new service entity that you'd like to share with our audience.
Yeah, this is Doug speaking. I tell you that 6 months goes very quickly, and we're currently receiving authorizations from the MBO that we mostly work with for 6 months, and you have to stay on top of that and get reauthorizations at time, because you'd be surprised how fast 6 months goes. We haven't had any trouble getting reauthorizations or backdating authorizations, but it's when you're enrolling new people, keep track of who's about to come up for renewal, because it seems to go pretty fast. I'd like to see them authorize services for a year instead of 6 months. I think it would cut down on the paperwork tremendously, but that's above my pay grade.
MCOs in our audience, so that I hope they heard that. Any else with any kind of wisdom that they want to share now that you've been doing it, that audience would benefit from?
I think that organizations and entities should continue to think outside of the box. I think HCBS members are really looking for creative and innovative ways to be engaged, or it's going to take some creativity and innovation to really engage them to bring about the impact that the state's looking for. I think partnerships and collaboration is always key. You have to make sure organization understands where their strengths are and pulling entities in that has strength in other areas to help build and support the individual that we serve.
I have to say that, if you in the same building, sort of incorporating this exercise and stress reduction components is something that is remarkable. I don't know how many other people out there would have the opportunity, but I think that you're an example of thinking out of the box and put something together that's truly unique. I hope tune into your websites to look at your videos, because I think that that those tell an interesting story about this creative effort. I think we're to get questions from the audience now, right, Daniela?
Yes, even. Thank you to all our presenters. We have an enormous amount of questions that have come through, and I hope we will be able to get to some, if not most of them. And the questions are related to lots of different areas. We've got questions about billing, about marketing, training, and overcoming some barriers. So I'm going to try to group them together a little bit. And I think I'm going to start with the billing questions, because we seem to have gotten the most questions in relation to billing. So the first question is, how do the presenters do their billing with each managed care organization? Since client numbers are small, is billing manual, or do you use a portal or some other method for each MCO?
I can share with you that our billing starts out manual by the actual HCBS provider, and then we are very, very fortunate enough to have a lovely billing department that bills through a portal for our 5 contracted MCOs.
Okay, great. Doug, did you want to take that one too?
We currently submit paper claims. We bought an inexpensive program, MedClaim program, that saves a lot of the information, so you're not re-entering information over and over again. You're basically from one month to the next just changing the dates of service. And we're in the BHIT program, and we hope to be doing electronic billing into March. But right now we're submitting about 50 claims a month, and 9% of our claims are paid, and the other 5% it's because I made a mistake and didn't put some in the right box or something. But at first it was very complicated, but now that it's running pretty smoothly, and there's about a 6-week turnaround with paper billing.
Then, did anybody from our Rochester group want to address that question about billing with each managed care organization as well?
Linda Davis. Sorry about the connect earlier. We are currently manual billing, all of us here in Rochester. We have a biller that has developed relationships with each of the managed care organizations and submitting billing manual. We are waiting to go live through our software vendor, Welligent, and start our electronic claims, hopefully in the next 30 days or so. It's coming in, taking about 4 to 6 weeks with the claims.
Okay. So this next question is for all of our presenters, and it's like a 2-part question. So as we all know, HCBS rates are RADO and client referrals are a little bit on the small side. How did each provider financially rationalize building out their services? And are there any HCBS services, or are your HCBS services revenue positive as standalone or revenue negative on the overall agency? And has anyone actually built a statement around their HCBS services?
This is Doug speaking. With the 1.5 full-time equivalent staff that we're billing for, I think we had a small profit in 2017. We were in the black, but not very much. And if you put my time into it, we're probably just breaking even.
This is from Rochester. I have to say, when we first broke through the billing, it looked as though we were definitely making some headway. But as we began to hire staff and the referrals came in, we are at a break-even point most of the time, and really trying to analyze and structure what payment strategy will look like as we go forward. So we're really trying to do some analysis on retention of staff and billing, and making sure that we have a fine-tuned analysis on how often bill comes through, because that does affect payroll and manage and structure our referrals that come in and the clients or staff that we connect them with.
This is Christy. We currently operate at a loss because of our large demand for services. We have supplemented some of, including my salary, supplemented some of the other staff salary through other means, and I know that our CEO and CCO are constantly advocating to raise the reimbursement rates for HCBS and additional funding for program continuation.
Is actually directed for right at you. Could you give us roughly about how much your monthly revenue stream is for your clients?
No, like I said, I'm fortunate enough to have a billing department that kind of does that. I'm trying to run this this program, so I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Doug, I can tell you that our revenue stream for 25 clients is $6,000 to $9,000 a month.
Great. Thanks, Doug. And this question is for everyone or anyone that would like to answer. Were any of your agencies new to billing Medicaid managed care? And if so, how did you approach learning the billing process?
Here from Rochester, we are MeTime Massage, Exercise Express, and Samaritan Center. We're all new to billing, and we probably spent roughly 30 to 60 days talking to people online, on the phone, calling different state department heads to understand where there's possibly some breakdown in communication or what information should we know. And just to point out, there are several different managed care organizations where their billing process is very different. So we had to take time to learn what the expectations were for each billing managed care office. But we still connected very well with the managed care representatives who then assisted us through the process. And then from there, once we've kind of learned what that process was, we hired a biller.
Okay. You got lots of help from the friends that you made at the managed care organizations.
Yeah, my friends eventually, yes.
Okay. This question is actually, the next one is directed specifically to Linda and Karen. Can you clarify if the exercise and massage services are billable under HCBS, or are these services provided in addition to or separate and not billable services?
Say is how we developed our infrastructure determined how we were going to put a variety of different things. Again, my background is health and wellness. I was a fitness studio. We exercised. We ran classes. So we sort of kind of turned ourselves inside out to meet the policies and procedures of HCBS. So they're rolled into that. So everyone who comes, after speaking with them, we realize that their goal is to live a healthy lifestyle and reduce stress in our life. I believe that we have that goal for every one of our clients, because all of our clients feel that that's a goal that is attainable and reachable for them. So we sort of molded what we did prior to fit that need. So no, is massage specifically covered under Medicaid? Is exercise specifically covered under Medicaid? No, but we are the experts in that field, and we have rolled in what our expertises are and rolled it into the requirements of the HCBS program.
Okay. The next question is about training. Did any of you guys have any specific training for your peers or other HCBS staff that was specific to HCBS service provision? For one, we can just sort of go down the line. Christy, do you want to start, and then we'll go to Doug, and then the Rochester group?
Yes. HCBS specific training, no. We do Relias training online, which kind of supplements all of our HCBS staff from safety in the field, how to deal with conflict. We go across the board to more in-depth kind of trainings to kind of supplement, but nothing HCBS specific. We're more multi-focused.
We did some harm reduction training for HCBS staff that were going to be in the field. Of course, the Academy of Peer Services training and all the safety training and mandated stuff, but we felt we had to do some harm reduction training and get people on board with a harm reduction philosophy, and I think that was pretty important.
Okay. Thanks. And then Tammy, Linda, and or Karen.
Yep, I think one of the things that we've done here is we have an ongoing Tuesday training along with our staff meeting where we incorporated almost any kind of topic that comes up with our staff, again on safety, some harm reduction, and even continuous trainings on HCBS and what does that mean, and some of the guidance around the services being provided. So we have an ongoing Tuesday training schedule that we use to keep our individuals abreast.
Okay. I have about 2 minutes left. I'm gonna keep going through this list of questions here. Christy, I know that you had said earlier that the video that your organization made is posted on the website. Is that correct?
It is. It's right on the website, and you can watch the video, and then you can see a description of all our HCBS services under HCBS.
The Mental Health and Wellness Association site is posted on our slides. And then I know that Exercise Express, Me Time Massage, and Samaritan Center of Excellence, you guys have sort of banded together and formed a video for all of your services combined, right? Where can we find that video?
Find it on any one of our, or at least Exercise Express or Samaritan Center website. As well as YouTube.
Great. And we look under it for YouTube? ROCHUB, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, a question about some barriers. A common barrier that people are hearing from health home care management agencies is that providers are asking for too much documentation prior to accepting a referral. Does anybody want to just a little bit share what your experience has been?
Doug, speaking. I mean, we just want a copy of the plan of care and a level of service determination from the MDO. Other than that, we're not requiring any documentation. I'm not really interested in their assessment of people. We do our own assessment of people, and we require a tremendous amount of documentation. If we get the referral, we go see the person, and most 99.9% of the time we'll work with them.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Doug. Same thing, that we ask for the expedited plan of care to make sure that our goals match, and then we also ask for the ICD-10 code to ensure that the person is qualified for the service. And from that point in time, it's really all about the assessment and the interview with the individual.
This is Tammy from Rochester. I think the same goes here. Rochester, we ask for the necessary information to assure the authorization is approved and that our billing goes through, and we have the proper contact to meet with the client. Anything additional, we don't request.
Okay. So I'm going to go to one last question because it's a very quick question, I think, for you guys to answer. And if we can, just sort of go around the table again, Christy, and then Karen and Tammy. Does your agency also provide care coordination?
Yes, we have a large care management organization that are HARP delineated and then also shared between HARP and non-HARP.
Yeah, this is Doug. We also do provide, we have health home managers. We currently have 4.5, but we also receive clients from 3 other care management agencies.
Thank you. Karinda or Tammy?
We do not have care management services. We are connected to various care managers that we've built relationships with that are referrals flow through, but we do not have care management services.
Okay, great. So I just want to close out today's webinar. Eva, I'm going to give you a chance to say a word or two. I know we're basically running out of time, and I want to thank everybody who joined today. We had a very large attendance today, and I'm appreciative of that, and I'm more appreciative of all of our presenters who got together today and shared their experiences, really saying that these services are doable, manageable, and can be very successful. So thank you so much to all of our presenters for sharing your experiences, and thank you for Eve, for putting together our discussion today.
To reiterate what Daniela just said, thank you all presenters for your time and your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.